I'm John Jones, Chairman of the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority. This meeting is being conducted pursuant to the notice provisions of the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act, with all participating authority members attending in person. While this meeting is open in public, there will be no public comment, as is OTA's longstanding historical practice. In addition to being open to the public for in-person observation, the meeting is being live-streamed and recorded for remote viewing. The time is 10 o'clock, and I'm calling the March 5th, 2024 regular meeting of the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority to order. Jenny, please call the roll.
Mr. Will Berry.
Here.
Mr. Todd Cone. Mr. Gene Love.
Here.
Mr. John Titsworth.
Here.
Ms. Dana Weber.
Here.
Mr. John Jones.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to invite Tim Gatz, ODOT Director, to make a special announcement. Good morning, Tim.
Mr. Chairman, board members, certainly I'm not going to spend much time recapping the last week, because we all have a pretty clear understanding of where we're at today, and certainly I'm serving as the appointee for the Department of Transportation Director, subject to Senate confirmation. I did not want to miss an opportunity to address the board this morning, just to say how proud I am to have been a part of the Turnpike Authority. What a incredible experience it's been to be a part of a time in the Turnpike Authority's history that I consider to be very, very special. We've accomplished a tremendous amount of work. We have made strategic investments in Oklahoma's transportation infrastructure that will serve this state long into the future. And we have set a path with a 15-year long-range plan that communicates what we're going to try to accomplish, recognizes what our immediate needs are, and gets about the business of getting it done. In addition to that, and even more importantly, the board during your tenure has supported the development of an incredible workforce at the Turnpike Authority. We've long had great leadership, but again, the group that is assembled and the team that the Turnpike Authority has today is as strong as it's ever been, certainly as strong as I've ever witnessed. And the Turnpike Authority is in very capable hands long into the future. Again, I wanted to thank the board for your steadfast support. I wanted to thank the board for your interactions that we've had during my tenure as director. And most importantly, I wanted to thank the board for your friendship. Because again, it's been a great honor and privilege to be able to have worked with you. And I wanted to take the opportunity to come and express those sentiments this morning. Make sure that, you know, my tenure as OTA director got brought to the appropriate and proper closure. And again, I can't tell you how great an honor it's been to get to know each and every one of you, and to have served at the time in history and have served this board. So, Mr. Chairman, with that, I stand for any questions the board may have of me, but also thank you.
I'll just make a comment. I had the pleasure of being on the selection committee for the Turnpike Authority when we selected Tim, and I just say that we certainly made the right selection for the Turnpike Authority. And Tim, we really, really appreciate your service for this authority. I mean, you've done an absolutely incredible job, and just wish you the best for the future.
Thank you, Mr. Love.
I would just like to comment that I was also around when we selected Tim to be the director of the Turnpike Authority, and I'd like to mirror John's comments. It has been a pleasure working with you all these years, and And I expect to continue to work with you from time to time, although in a very different role. So thank you. I have another comment that I'd like to make that's not directly at you, so I'll wait until see if anybody else has any comments they want to make.
I just wanted to thank you, Tim, for your service and your friendship, and there's no question you've been a wonderful and effective leader at the Turnpike Authority. You'll be missed. We'll continue on, and just want to thank you for your time.
I'd like to thank you, Tim, for your leadership. Appreciate it so much. I look forward to the continuation of the relationship between ODOT and OTA, doing the best we can for the state of Oklahoma.
Commissioner Titsworth.
Okay. I'm going to make a comment about the events that have happened. I'm not a constitutional law expert, so I'm not really going to comment on the AG's rulings. I want to concur with Director Gatz's comment that these organizations, the Department of Transportation and the Turnpike Authority, will not miss a beat and will continue to work together to keep serving the state of Oklahoma in the best way possible. For the Turnpike Authority, this is in no small part because of Director Gatz and your predecessors have worked so hard to develop this organization to make sure that this is exactly what would happen. What I also want to say, though, is I'm a business person. From that perspective, I am saddened by this ruling. Organizations, whether it's a government, a business, or a charitable organization, need to have the flexibility to organize based on the talent that they have available to them in the best way possible. Sometimes when you have a highly skilled, highly talented individual, the best thing for the organization is to have them over multiple parts of the organization, because that way they can develop leaders for the future, and they can bring organizations together, and it's very, very valuable for the organization. At other times, the organization is stronger when each of the organizations is separately led and report to the head of the organization. I believe that we were very fortunate that at the point in time that you have been leading these two organizations, that you were the right person for that job, and you have done an outstanding job of not only leading both organizations, but bringing the two organizations together even closer than they were before. And for that, as everybody has said, we thank you. In closing, even if this ruling is correct, which I'm not an expert on, I am saddened by the fact that the state of Oklahoma has lost the flexibility to organize within what is best for the state of Oklahoma. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Weber.
Your comments? Tim, thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Our next item of business is a proposed executive session. Ms. Weber?
Yes. I would like to, in accordance with Title 25, Section 307B1 of the Oklahoma statutes, I move that this regular public meeting of the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority adjourn and reconvene an executive session for the purpose of discussing the resignation of the Office of Director by Tim J. Gatz through the application of Attorney General Opinion 2024-05, and for discussion and possible action on the appointment of a new director of the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority, including compensation. As we, I need a second.
We have a motion to move into executive session. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Love. Please vote to move into executive session. Voting is ended, and that's been approved.
Okay, and as we move into executive session, initially we would like to have Joe E. Kelly and Eric Laird join us. And then I would ask that the following individuals be on standby because we may or may not call certain of you into the meeting. David Mockmer, Julie Porter, T.J. Dill, Paul Caesar, Joni Seymour, Holly Lowe, Amanda Bolden, Marcus Williams, Wendy Smith, Mary Biswell, Darian Butler, Mark Kalka, Brian Jepson, Lisa Salem, Todd Gore, Patrice Williams, and Micah Gardner and Jenny Johnson. Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we end our executive session and reconvene the authority's regular public meeting.
We have a motion to reconvene our monthly meeting and end our executive session. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. Please vote accordingly. Voting has ended, and we have ended our executive session, and now we are back to our regular scheduled meeting on March 5th, 2024. Ms. Weber?
Yes, after careful review of Joey Kelly's experience, capabilities, and performance, and review of salary survey data and salaries for comparable positions, I move that we appoint Joey Kelly as Director of the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority at a salary of $240,000.
Thank you. We have a motion to appoint Joey Kelly as the Director of the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority at a salary of $240,000. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Love. Please vote accordingly. Voting is ended, and Joey Kelly is our new Director of Turnpike Authority. Congratulations, Joey. Before we get into our agenda items further, I want to make a brief statement. The recent Attorney General opinions that were rendered were surprising to OTA, but they weren't a shock to the transportation system as it relates to the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority. And the reason that they aren't a shock is that we have had and will continue to have great leadership from the executive staff of OTA and the continued diligent support from its board. Tim Gatz was a wonderful and very successful leader of OTA throughout his tenure of approximately 8 years as executive director. He and his team have successfully completed and accomplished many projects and made OTA better with each and every one. Without a doubt, he will be missed. But OTA has always been bigger than any one person. OTA is its executive staff, its various and meaningful departments and their heads, and all of the dedicated employees that contribute to OTA's success, along with its board governance. It is important to note that Joey Kelly, along with the executive team and everyone at OTA, will continue to have the full and dedicated support and confidence of its board to support the continued projects and purposes as defined when the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority was created in 1947. We at OTA will continue to strive to provide our customers with a choice of a safe, convenient, efficient, user-funded transportation network focusing on fiscal responsibility and promoting economic development. Moving ahead, do we have a motion to approve the minutes for the regular meeting of February 6, 2024? I make a motion to approve those. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. Please vote accordingly on the item. Voting is ended and the minutes have been approved. Now on to the items of business, the finance items. Ms. Weber.
The first item is item number 1172, and I'd like to ask Patrice Williams to please come present this item.
Hi, good afternoon, Chairman Jones, members of the authority. I come before you today to request approve the task order for our collections vendor, Harris & Harris. This task order provides Harris & Harris the ability to fully service our aged and delinquent toll violation receivables. This means Harris & Harris will be responsible for managing the entire process flow for these receivables. The contingency fee to this fully service these receivables is a 26% collection fee. They only get paid if they collect on that for us. So these aged violation accounts sits at a zero balance because they have been fully allowed for under our debt. Allowance for doubtful. Staff has reviewed this item and recommend approval. I have any questions? I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
Thank you.
Any questions? If not, I move for approval of item number 1172.
We have a motion for approval of item 1172. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Love. Please vote accordingly. Item 1172 has been approved.
Thank you. All right, the next item is item number 1173, the payment register. Ms. Patterson.
Good afternoon, Chairman Jones, members of the authority. Item number 1173 is the payment register prepared by the Comptroller Division. This payment register includes all payments made for the month of January 2024. The staff has reviewed this item and recommends this item for approval.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on this item? If not, I move for approval of the payment register, item number 1173.
We have a motion for approval of item 1173. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Love. Please vote accordingly. Item 1173 has been approved. Next items of business are the engineering and construction items. Mr. Berry.
Thank you, Chairman Jones. Item 1174 is the first item, which will be presented by Mr. Garter.
Good afternoon, Chairman Jones, members of the board. Item 1174 contains a total of 3 supplemental agreements and change orders. Please stop me at any time if you have any questions. Our staff has reviewed this item and recommends approval. The first is for project CMC 30. This is the bridge number 22.50 rehabilitation over US 64 and the BNSF Railroad. Contractor is Frontier Bridge. This is change order number 1 and supplemental agreement number 1 for the agreed amount of $349,957.54 and a time extension of 5 days. This change order overruns 2 existing items, adds 4 new items, and increases the B-bid time and contract time by 5 days to compensate the contractor for additional work. Removal of asphalt pavement and super paved type S4 asphalt are being overran to rehabilitate a failing asphalt overlay necessary to facilitate traffic during the construction of the new bridges over US 64 and the BNSF Railroad. Class B bridge deck repair is also being added to repair the failed concrete areas of the existing bridge deck prior to repaving the asphalt overlay, which caused the failure of the asphalt. Tack coat is being added for the use on the US 64 asphalt shoulders and the Cimarron bridge deck overlay to allow for proper bonding to the adjacent surface, otherwise unaccounted for in the original plans. Lastly, a new item for unclassified excavation is being added at a negotiated reduced unit price due to a significant overrun of a major pay item. The median excavation on the Cimarron Turnpike required for construction of the new cable barrier was unaccounted for in the original bid quantity and is being accounted for in the new item. These items contain all material, labor, and equipment necessary to perform this work. 5 days are also being added to both the contract time and B-bid time to allow for the repairs to the bridge deck overlay, which impacted the critical path. Next, we have CMC 35. This is the bridge rehab of number 25.74 over Oak Creek near Glencoe. Contractor is Manhattan Road and Bridge. This is supplemental agreement number 2 for the agreed amount of $33,291.64, as well as a time extension of 8 days. This supplemental agreement adds 2 new items and also adds 8 contract days and B-bid days to the contract to compensate the contractor for additional work. Class B bridge deck repair is being added to repair the westbound bridge deck over Oak Creek prior to the asphalt overlay, which will facilitate traffic throughout the construction of the new bridge. A mobilization item is being added to allow for the deck repair, which created an additional mobilization for the asphalt operation. 8 days are also being credited to allow for this bridge deck repair work prior to the planned asphalt overlay, which impacted the critical path. These items contain all material, labor, and equipment necessary to perform this work. Lastly, we have INMC 66. This is the all-electronic tolling conversion of the Indian Nation Turnpike. This is with Built Right Construction, change order number 1 and supplemental agreement number 1 for the agreed amount of $155,400.08. This supplemental agreement overruns 1 existing item and adds 1 new item to the contract to compensate the contractor for additional work. Removal of asphalt pavement is being overran for planned shoulder replacement at Antlers AET locations that was unaccounted for in the original planned quantity. Sawing pavement is being added to protect the adjacent PC pavement that is to remain in place after the shoulder pavement removal process. These items contain all material, labor, and equipment necessary to perform this work.
Are there any questions for Mr. Garter? If not, I move that we approve this item as presented.
We have a motion to approve item 1174. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Weber. Please vote appropriately. is ended and item 1174 has been approved.
The next item is item 1175, which would be presented by Mr. Darian Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Good to see everyone today. Engineering Division has 4 items we'd like to present for consideration. That's items 1175, 76, 77, and 78. 1175, this is for 2 construction contract awards. This is our first one here, WRMC 144. This is asphalt pavement rehabilitation from milepost 290 to milepost 298.2 near Veneta, Oklahoma. Had 3 bidders on the project, aggressive bids. Low bid was Emery, Sapp and Sons, the amount of $7,218,990.57. And this is about 19.7% under the engineer's estimate. Again, really good bids there.
He's
So-
about 10% underneath the second. Is that a concern?
Yeah, that's right.
Is there a concern there?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No, hopefully it's maybe indication that prices are getting a little bit better for us.
Good.
Yeah,
That's a good thing.
yeah. That's correct. Second project there is SP 63B. This is our cashless tolling conversion project. Again, this is cashless tolling conversion on the Will Rogers Turnpike, including State Highway 266, Claremore, Adair, Big Cabin, Veneta, Afton, and Miami interchanges, and at the Veneta main line. Work includes the installation of conduits, pull boxes, overhead gantries, electrical service, temporary striping, and all miscellaneous work necessary for the installation and integration of the cashless tolling equipment. Projects in Craig, Mays, Ottawa, and Rogers counties. Had 3 bidders on the project. Low bid is Robinson Construction, the amount of $5,587,665.26. And this is about 13.3% over the engineer's estimate. Also want to mention, we've hit a major milestone with the award of this project today. This is the last cashless tolling conversion project that will come through Engineering Division. Certainly happy to say that. We've got all of our turnpikes converted to cashless tolling, except for Indian Nation Turnpike, Turner Turnpike, and of course the Will Rogers here. Both the Indian Nation and the Turner are currently under construction, so certainly a big deal to get this awarded and get it over to Jeff and LeDan to get this built. Both these projects, again, we reviewed and recommend approval on both of them.
Any questions on item 1175?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
If not, I move that we approve this item as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval of item 1175. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thanks, Ms. Weber. Please vote appropriately. Item 1175 has been approved.
Yeah, next is item 1176. This is an engineering contract modification. This is project TMC 131. This contract modification is for additional design services related to improvements of the county road to be used as a local detour, lighting design, and additional time and effort needed for review of value engineering proposal alternative span bridge submitted by the contractor. Effort includes review of bridge geometric clearances, deck structural design, pre-stressed concrete beam structural design, bearing assembly structural design, and straddle pier structural design. The amount due under this contract modification number 6 shall not exceed $193,080 for these services. The revised contract not to exceed amounts $1,742,504. Staff's reviewed, we recommend approval.
Where's this bridge exactly?
This is on the Turner Turnpike there near Wellston.
Near Wilson?
Yes.
Okay.
Any questions? If not, I move that we approve this item as presented.
A motion for approval of item 1176. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thanks, Ms. Weber. Please vote appropriately. Voting is ended and item 1176 has been approved.
Item 1177, this is on-demand design contract modification for the Access Bond Program. Contracts MKE-08, consultants MKEC. This contract modification is to provide compensation for additional engineering services for the respective Access Program projects. This change will increase the consultants' not-to-exceed contract amount to include all contract milestones on select projects. Project milestones include plan stages of 30% completion, 60% completion, 90% completion, 100% PS&E, bidding phase, construction services, and project completion documentation, including as-built plans. This contract includes 2 projects. First one there is on the east-west connector, EWC-28005. This is a new alignment from the I-35 interchange heading east about 4.5 miles. This project's been split into 8 construction projects, 2 interchanges, 2 bridges, 1 grade and drain, 1 surface, and 1 turnkey construction project. And then the second project under this contract is T-26009. This is on the Turner Turnpike. This is widening west of Stroud Rest Area, east to Millfay Road, including Stroud Interchange. This project's been split into 5 construction projects, 2 widening projects, 2 TPU bridge projects, and 1 interchange project near Stroud. The amount due under this contract modification number 3 shall not exceed $10,602,676. The revised contract amounts $23,592,066. The EWC 28005, as we discussed last month, we're restarting some of these projects, and this east-west connector project is one that we're going to be restarting at this time. Staff's reviewed, we recommend approval. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? If not, I move that we approve this item as presented.
We have a motion for approval of item 1177. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thanks, Ms. Weber. Please vote appropriately. Voting is ended, and item 1177 has been approved.
Okay, next item there's 1178. This is a resolution to amend previously assigned numerical highway designations to the John Kilpatrick and Kickapoo Turnpikes. Submitted for the consideration of the authorities, a request that the following resolution be adopted and that a fully executed copy be placed in the permanent records of the authority. In consultation with the Oklahoma Department of Transportation, assign and post numerical U.S. highway, state highway, interstate highway, or roadway designation as appropriate for the John Kilpatrick and Kickapoo Turnpikes. This will include the addition of an interstate highway system I-344 designation assigned to the entire 30.97 miles of the John Kilpatrick Turnpike, beginning at the intersection of State Highway 152 and the John Kilpatrick Turnpike, going north and east to the intersection of the John Kilpatrick Turnpike and I-35, I-44 Turner Turnpike Junction. Second locations, in addition of the interstate highway system I-335 designation assigned to the entire 18.71 miles of the Kickapoo Turnpike, beginning at the intersection of the Kickapoo Turnpike and I-44 and Turner Turnpike interchange and going south to the intersection of the Kickapoo Turnpike and the I-40 interchange. This resolution amends previously assigned numerical highway designations for the John Kilpatrick and Kickapoo Turnpikes pursuant to authority approval of Agenda Item 833 dated August 24th, 2021. This completes, we've been working on it for quite some time, this completes assigning numerical numbers to the turnpikes. At one time, it was just a name, and believe that it was the best idea to add numbers to those routes. So with the addition of these 2 numbers, all of our turnpikes now have either a state highway, U.S. highway, or interstate designation. Staff's reviewed. We recommend approval. Happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions on this item? If not, I move that we approve this item as presented.
We have a motion for approval of item 1178. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thanks, Ms. Weber. Please vote appropriately.
Thank you, Mr. Butler.
Item 1178 has been approved.
All right. My next item is item 1179, which will be presented by Mrs. Rhonda Powell.
Good afternoon, Chairman Jones, members of the authority, Director E. Kelly. I'd like to present item 1179 on behalf of the Right-of-Way and Utilities Division. The following parcels consisting of the approximate acres and at the locations identified below were previously acquired by the authority. A staff review of the property was conducted, and it has been determined that a portion of the described parcels in the approximate acreage identified was acquired for previous turnpike projects and is not needed for any construction or maintenance needs of the turnpike system. Based on that determination, staff recommends that the authority consider and vote to declare the attached described parcels surplus and authorize the director to obtain a survey, appraisal, and sell, lease, or otherwise dispose of the property, including use in a land swap to acquire other property needed for the turnpike system. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions.
Are there any questions in regards to item 1179? If not, I move that we approve this item as presented.
We have a motion for approval of item 1179. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thanks, Ms. Weber. Please vote appropriately. Item 1179 has been approved.
Thank you, Mrs. Powell. My last item on the agenda is item 1180, which will be presented by Mr. Jeremy Smith.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Director, congrats. Submitted for the consideration of the authority is a request to approve the following maintenance service contract renewals. The first one is mowing on the Indian Nation Turnpike under IN M23. This was awarded to Terry Enterprises last year in the amount of $465,932. This is a one-year contract with 2 one-year options to extend that must be approved by both parties. This is the first of 2 contract extensions with a 3% increase will bring the current total amount of the contract to $945,841.96. Our second renewal is for mowing on the Will Rogers Turnpike under WRM 23. This was awarded to Lot Maintenance in 2023 in the amount of $439,502. This is also the first of 2 contract extension options, bringing the current total amount of the contract to $879,004. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Was this one at an increase or at the same rate as before?
This was the same rate. Terry Enterprises requested a 3% increase, and we approved that, which still kept us under the second low bidder.
What is the amount per acre on this one?
On the Indian Nation?
Yeah.
With the 3%, it brought it up to $28.60 an acre, which matches what we're paying an acre on the Will Rogers Turnpike.
Are there any other questions? If not, I move that we approve this item as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval of item 1180. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thank you, Mr. Love. Please vote appropriately. Item 1180 has been approved. Moving on to the reports, information only portion of our meeting. We have a highway patrol report. I know at one time, Mr. Kennedy, Major Kennedy, but is this Major Vowell?
No, sir.
We have another person?
The new guy deferred, so they
Okay.
sent it down to me.
Okay.
Captain Benson.
Well, Captain Vincent, thank you.
I think he was pretty intimate. Chairman, members of the authority, is it new director now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good job. For the month of January, Turnpike troopers made 3,399 violator contacts, assisted 658 motorists, investigated 153 motor vehicle collisions, We worked 1,082 shifts, averaging 178 miles per shift, which total miles driven was 192,000. We had one reported fatality, which I believe on the Cherokee Turnpike, that was a one-car accident. The car just simply departed the roadway and struck a parked vehicle at a high rate of speed. We had 6 criminal interdictions that were reported. Any specific information on commercial motor vehicle, aircraft, traffic enforcement, toll enforcement, motorcycle enforcement, collision reduction have all been included in your report for your review. Have any questions?
I don't. I would just commend you on stepping in and taking on this role this morning. You got a curveball. You did such a good job, they may ask you.
I will tell you.
Again.
Give you some information in case the complaint comes to you. We've had a few dignitaries complaining about street racers on the Kilpatrick, and I do have a Operation Flamethrower intact to get that taken care of. So hopefully it doesn't make it to your desk, but it's been continuous. But let me know if I can help you.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
service. Our next report is from our consulting engineer, Jimmy Sparks.
Good afternoon, Chairman Jones, member of the Authority, Director Kelly. Congratulations. I often talk about the Authority's need for continued reinvestment, and some of the things on the agenda today kind of sparked, I did a little bit of research on some things. There were two of the Cimarron bridges that Jeff mentioned in the change order and supplemental agreement parts, and those represent 2 of our, say, worst bridges on the system. I mean, they all had things that needed to be addressed, and while the construction was approved a few months ago, talked about the need for, the deck replacement and all that. So we do a good job of staying ahead of the curve, but the need is still there because of an aging system. So we have to stay on top of that. And then it was approved several months ago as well, but the engineering contract modification for TMC 131, I want to reiterate that removes our 2 fracture critical bridges. When that's done, we will no longer have any fracture critical bridges on the Turnpike system. So, like I say, the benefits and the need for reinvestment is there, but the benefits of continuing to fund our capital improvement program is great. So, February engineers checked 20 special overloads for travel in the system, so still seeing a lot of activity there. They were happy to report no special inspections related to overheight impacts. Our engineers are working with maintenance on several follow-ups to their request. Appreciate the work our maintenance crews do, and they're continual. We're out there a couple times a year doing our inspections, but they're there daily and a lot of times find things, and we're always happy to go out and do follow-ups with that. So appreciate their partnership there. So as always, our capital plan project summary is in our monthly report, and be happy to answer any questions.
Do you have any questions?
Thanks,
Jimmy. The next item on our reports is the trustee report. Ms. Singleton. Good morning. Afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chairman and board members. As bond trustee to the Authority, all monthly debt service transfers were made for the semi-annual payments to the bondholders as required by the trust agreement. And to our knowledge, all other requirements set forth in the trust agreement has been satisfied. Questions on my report?
Any questions? Thank you for your good work.
Thank you.
The next report is the operating results and financial condition. Wendy Smith. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chairman Jones, members of the Authority, Director E. Kelly. I love saying that. Okay, you've all received your operations report for January prepared by the Comptroller Division. OTA continues to be in a strong financial position and, as Rachel just said, in compliance with our trust indenture. So for January, the Oklahoma system toll revenues came in at $28.9 million, outpacing budgeted projections by 1.1%. Although winter weather moved into the state and caused passenger vehicle counts to drop slightly as they wisely stayed off the roads, heavy truck traffic continues as they got to make a living, obviously, and get all of their stuff delivered. So collectively, for the first month of the year, division directors held revenue fund operating expenses to 43.5% under 2024 operating and maintenance budget expenses, and that's a little bit of a lag, obviously, because maintenance has been out there treating the roads, and so those bills will be coming in. So you'll probably see a more realistic number for that in February. And we continue to steadily achieve and exceed our trust-required senior and total debt service ratios. As expected, the Gilcrease transactions were slightly down as well as the Oklahoma Turnpike system because of that same weather condition. The Gilcrease Turnpike has now been opened long enough that we can compare January to January, year over year, which is exciting. So the new turnpikes definitely have a ramp-up period, and it takes up to 5 years to really level out. So I'm happy to report that the Gilcrease is no exception to that, and the daily transactions have increased 42% over last January. And I took a peek at February. It looked pretty amazing. I know Joe's seen it too, but I'll report about that next month after I've reviewed it more closely. I'm sure that Director Kelly will talk about the fact that some of you were at the groundbreaking along the Turner Turnpike at Bristow. We're really excited about that, and we're really excited about spending that all those construction proceeds that we obtained back in October. I'll take any questions.
Any questions?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Wendy. It's my honor to ask the new director, Joey Kelly, for his first director's report.
All right, Mr. Chairman, thank you for the putting a period at the end of a strange 2 weeks for me and for a lot of our staff here. As Tim said earlier, we had a little bit of pre-notice about the AG opinion, so we were able to work on some things, make sure that we had plenty of continuity of operations, both at OTA and at ODOT. Never did I think that this was going to happen like this. Always was a job and career goal of mine to be a director of either ODOT or OTA, and thank you for the opportunity. We have a tremendous team that a lot of them, excuse me, a lot of them went with us upstairs, and they do such a great job. And I know we didn't get to talk to Jenny as long as I would have liked, but Jenny knows me probably the best and works with me the closest. And I really appreciate her and all of our OTA directors and staff that really have made Tim and now me look really good. And they prepare all kinds of stuff for us, like this director's report that Lisa put together for me. So, so thank you again for the opportunity. I will not let you down. So. A couple things that, and Wendy mentioned this, we did have a groundbreaking on the Turner Turnpike this last week. I think they're going to play the video. And maybe I can talk over the video. Is that okay? Okay. So we had at least 100 people show up to the groundbreaking. Appreciate Chairman Jones, Mr. Berry, and Ms. Weber for being there. We had the 3 university mascots that attended. Special thanks to the governor and the mayor of Bristow, Mayor Chris Wyatt, that had some words for the group. As you can see, the governor hopped on a rather large excavator and started tearing the ground up, and we had to get him off before we were going to have to give him a 1099 and start paying him for the work that he was doing. So I think he had a good time. A message for the motorists that are going to be traveling in that area: over the coming months, you will begin to see nightly lane closures. We'll be closing some lanes at night to install barrier wall, do some of the demolitions and things like that, but also that the lanes will be narrowed. If you drove through the construction projects that we had previously that widened the Turner Turnpike, we have to narrow those lanes to take that outside shoulder off. And in order to do that, it creates a relatively dangerous situation, something that we take very seriously, impacting traffic. And we know that when we pull cones, or in this case, barrier wall out next to traffic, it adds to the level of danger to drive the roadway necessary in order to have some progress on widening our system. So just want to make sure that the traveling public is aware of that. So in your daily travels, if you could help spread that word, I'd really appreciate it. There are several things that too much to report on, and I know I'm standing between everybody and a late lunch. But one thing that I did want to cover today in this legislative session and in last legislative session, there were several bills written that addressed 69-1705E, where our enabling legislation exists that establishes the turnpike projects, the descriptions of those projects that the Turnpike Authority can take on. There have been several bills that have been introduced that would edit, delete some of the lines that are in that. There have also been bills introduced in the last several years that would have added some lines to that. I have asked, and TJ and I have been talking about this, and TJ and I are going to visit with Jimmy, and we're going to ask Olson to do a review of 1705E. There are routes that are in statute, and in my opinion, as I stand here today, and I've read it recently, there are routes that are in statute that we've already built, or we've already built most of the road, and I will compare that to the Indian Nation Turnpike in southeastern Oklahoma that's basically, I think, described as Tulsa to Hugo toward Paris, Texas. Turnpike Authority built a section of that in the 1960s, and ODOT built, or then the Department of Highways built US 75 north of there up to Tulsa. There is, maybe need to edit that. The Turnpike Authority is not going to go, there's never going to be feasible for us to ever build another turnpike next to US 75. That's just not possible. So what I want to do is do a review of statute. Another example that I would give is, I think that there's one that's described as being from Woodward to Enid. Well, US 412 is a 4-lane divided highway most of the way from Woodward to Enid, at least the last time I drove it. And so there's no need for that necessarily to be there. That's my current opinion. We're going to look into the possible future needs, what exists today, the traffic counts, those kind of things. Put that together in a report to bring back to the board in a few months. So just going to let you know about that. Thank you for the award, especially of the contract for the last cashless conversion. Darren got a little sigh of relief by presenting the last one of those to the board, and a sigh of relief when you awarded it. Thank you for that. The second biggest safety improvement to the Turnpike since I've been here, and probably since forever, has been going cashless. The number one was putting concrete barrier wall or cable barrier wall down the center line, separating head-to-head traffic from having a crossover fatality accident. And that stuff works very, very well. The cashless conversion has been the number 2 safety improvement for us. The statistic that I say when I go places is that in the 6 years prior to the first conversion, which happened in July of 2021, we had 500 accidents in toll zones. And a lot of those are minor accidents, and some of them don't even get reported, so we don't get them all counted. But today, we're not having any accidents to speak of in the areas that have been converted to cashless. It's been a huge safety improvement. It adds some additional challenges for our finance people, for our toll people at the Turnpike Authority, creates some challenges in getting everyone to pay. But it's been a tremendous safety improvement, and I appreciate you guys' award on that. And that last one is for the Will Rogers. I think the current order is Turner Turnpike, June of this year sometime, Will Rogers, October, November this fall, going into winter, and the Indian Nation with a goal of being done before the end of the year. So this is the last year we'll have those construction zones taken down. You approved interstate designations for the John Kilpatrick and Kickapoo Turnpike. That was previously approved, and we were trying to assign state highway, U.S. highway, or interstate designations to all of our turnpikes that would qualify. The most prestigious is obviously an interstate designation, and others, the other turnpikes that we have don't count because they don't tie to another interstate or they don't go into another state specifically. This modification that we had to make today was because we were trying to assign a loop designation, which starts with a 2, for the Kilpatrick and the Kickapoo. And due to some constraints on the design and the way the road currently is built, doesn't qualify for a loop designation. But they do qualify to be interstate designated as they tie to I-240, I-44, back around to I-35, I-44, and then the Kickapoo time from I-40 to I-44. So we're excited about that. We will be changing those signs out over the course of the next month. We've got to get the signs made. There's a process there. But as soon as those signs are installed, we'll reach out to the GPS companies that work on, your phone GPS and the stuff that's inside your car to make sure that everybody understands what that interstate is and that it's tolled when they're getting on it. No different than I-44 that is the H.E. Bailey, Turner, and Will Rogers. Monday, this coming Monday, we will be raising the speed limit on the Cimarron Turnpike to 80 miles per hour. We had a 5-prong test that it needed to pass in order to be able to install those signs, and we're to that point now. There are several construction zones on the Cimarron Turnpike, and obviously those will not have the increased speed. Those will still have a speed reduction through those. So as you're traveling the turnpike system, be mindful of construction zone speeds, but I really wanted to just highlight that the Cimarron was going to change in its entirety this next week. Director Tim Gatz gave a very good update yesterday to the Transportation Commission concerning the April 8th eclipse that's coming this next month. The Turnpike Authority is not in the direct line of the totality piece, as I understand it, for the eclipse, but we are paying attention to the amount of traffic that's going to be traveling for us in southeastern Oklahoma, and probably using the coming out of Tulsa, headed to I-40 using the Muskogee Turnpike. So ODOT and OTA partner on a mobile app called Drive Oklahoma. It's pretty cool to use during a snowstorm, to be able to look and see what the roadway conditions are across the state. Using your phone, you can touch a truck that's driving and see a live or just about live image of the roadway out in front of them. And so that really helps us monitor, it helps the public, but it helps us monitor a weather event as it crosses the state. For an event like this, like an eclipse, this is going to allow us to really monitor the traffic and traffic conditions. We'll have some of those live within maintenance vehicles. We're putting out some message boards. We are advising the public to please do not stop on the highway. It's not a safe place to watch an eclipse. Make sure you're using your headlights during the eclipse. I drove in 2017. I went up to Nebraska and watched the last eclipse. And if you haven't seen one, that's pretty cool to get completely dark for 10 or 15 minutes. It was a long drive to Nebraska for 10 or 15 minutes, though. And I know there'll be a lot of traffic in southeastern Oklahoma and eastern Oklahoma, so we're trying to be prepared for that. And I think that LaDan told me we had one, or TJ told me we had one project on the Indian Nation that was going to be down to one lane. We'll have some additional highway patrols helping monitor that, as well as the tolling situation down at Antlers. My last thing, and then I'll take all the questions that I can take, but I think that this month is Motorcycle Safety Month, or kicks off Motorcycle Safety Month, and I am a previous, long time ago now, motorcycle rider that rode a lot of highways in the state, and I can tell you from experience that people don't look out for motorcycles, and this comes a time of year when you've gone 6 or 7 months without seeing too many motorcycles on the road, and something that that I was always told, even my parents would say, all it takes is a finger to cover a motorcycle, so people don't see you coming. You got to be looking out for everybody else. But we'd advise the public, as the weather gets nice, especially if you live on a scenic route like Route 66 or someplace in the curves, to pay attention to motorcycles this time of year. They don't stand much of a chance against the vehicles that we drive nowadays. With that, let's stand for any questions that the board may have for me.
You mentioned increased speed limits. I think back quite some time ago, we approved an 80-mile-an-hour speed limit on all of the H.E. Bailey between Oklahoma City and Lawton, and the construction's completed on the Dalbar retrofit and diamond grinding now, so though it's probably due for those signs to go up between Chickasha and Lawton.
Those are coming very soon. I'll look at the chief engineer here to see if the striping is complete and everything is done. Yeah.
I'm going to use my fancy new microphone here. So you are correct. We're getting very close on those sections. There is a project we're looking at that's going to be redoing about 30 miles of the shoulder throughout some of the area of the H.E. Bailey.
Yep.
part of the five-prong test that the director mentioned earlier is the condition of some of those shoulders we're looking at. So we are being very cognizant before we flip that switch, but I will hopefully start piecemealing that together further north into the city as we go here very soon.
Good.
Yes.
Not a question, but a comment. When you talk to them about changing the highway designations, would you remind them to update the 80 mile per hour on their GPS sites also, because most of them still say 75?
I will look into that and check on that. Thank you.
I have a comment. I know you learned a lot from Director Gatz. I hope you will continue to be a supporter of something that he continued to talk about, and that is encouraging the public to be mindful and wear seatbelts. So I expect occasionally to hear that from you.
It is definitely one of Director Gatz's pet peeves. I'm going to struggle with that for a little bit.
We all will.
Because he's Tim to me, and he's Secretary Gatz when I'm at a microphone, and so I'm going to struggle to get that corrected here for a few months. But it is one of his pet peeves, and something that, that he reminds and even works on me on, is making sure that I've got my seatbelt on. I'm usually, and like everybody, in a rush, jump in the vehicle and put it in gear, and the dinger reminds me to put my seatbelt on.
Yeah.
But so does he. So yes, absolutely.
Good.
What's the percentage now in Oklahoma?
The stat that he uses is 85% of Oklahomans, of people driving in Oklahoma, are wearing their seatbelt.
I was thinking it was a little less than that, but that's
Yeah.
an improvement over what it used to be, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hopefully by continuing to talk about it, we influence others to continue to strive to do it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
With that, I believe that concludes all of our business for today. I move that we adjourn for our next scheduled meeting of Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024 at 10 a.m.
Second the motion.
I have a second from Mr. Love. Please vote appropriately. We're adjourned.